Today, we would be discussing on a very interesting topic known as emotional intelligence. So, when we talk about emotional intelligence, it is important for each one of us to understand that emotional intelligence is the area of our cognitive ability that enables or that facilitates interpersonal behavior. Now, a very simple question that could arise is what do you understand by cognitive ability? So, cognitive ability is defined as a general mental ability or a capacity of an individual which involves reasoning, problem solving, planning, abstract thinking, and learning from experiences. Now, emotional intelligence was a term which was first coined in the year 1990 by the researchers John Mayer and Peter Salovey, but it was later popularized by the psychologist Daniel Goleman in the year 1995. Emotional intelligence has various competencies. The two competencies that can be broken down could be the personal competence and social competence. So when we look into personal competence, it comprises of self-awareness and self-management. And in the further video, we are going to talk about or look into a detailed version of what you understand by self-awareness and what you understand by self-management. Now let's look into what do you mean by self-awareness. Now we would have often come across the term self-awareness, but it's not necessarily noted that all of us are, self-aware about ourselves or our emotions or our feelings, right? So when we talk about self-awareness, it describes your ability as an individual to not only understand what your strengths or weaknesses are, but you're also able to recognize what are the emotions that you're going through and how each of these emotions have an effect on you and your performance, especially when you're working along with your team or you're working in a workplace for that reason. Right? So, self awareness is your ability to perceive and understand the things that make who you are as an individual. And when we talk about making you as an individual, it includes your personality, your actions, your beliefs, your values, your thoughts, and your emotions. Now, essentially, self awareness is a psychological state in which the self becomes the focus of attention. Now, when we are talking about dealing with emotions, it's to be kept in mind that when we are dealing with emotions in a workplace, it could become little tricky, especially when we are put up in a professional setup. And we cannot ignore the fact that end of the day, we all are human beings with feelings and emotions, right? And our problems do not just disappear when we arrive at work. So when we are self-aware about these different emotions that we go through, it helps us to manage our emotions wherever we are or wherever we are in terms of the different circumstances that we have been put through. And it also helps us to realize how we feel or especially in terms of expressing the different emotions that we have within each one of us. Self-awareness also helps us practice self-acceptance to be able to accept who you are as an individual, your feelings, your emotions. And it also helps us to acknowledge the emotions that we go through rather than pushing all of these emotions away or rather than running away from your emotions or penting up the emotions that we have. Several research has shown that emotional intelligence helps an individual with good decision making. It enables the individual to work collaboratively in a team, to deal with stress, and also, very importantly, to deal with the different changes that take place. And each of these are very important or highly important skills that are required from an individual in a workplace. The next topic that we have is self-management. Now, we would have come across this term self-management quite a lot of times in each one of our lives, right? Now, when we talk about self-management, it is referred to as self-control or self-regulation, which is basically the ability to regulate one's emotions, thoughts, and behaviors effectively in various situations or circumstances that we come across. So this self-management definition has its roots in emotional intelligence, which could be said or which could also be referred to as self-regulation. Now, self-regulation is supported by our own capacity of being self-aware, and it helps us create conscious access to our thoughts, our desires, and our feelings. Now, only when we are aware about how we feel or what are the different emotions that we are going through, we will be able to control or express these emotions appropriately and effectively. Now, those who have well developed self awareness and have good self regulation are well positioned to develop a set of self management skills that support them on their work and their personal journeys in life. Self-management becomes very important, especially when we are talking about empowering employees across the various institutions or organizations, especially when we are talking about employees being very innovative and resourceful. Now, when every team member understands what their responsibilities are, what their goals are, or what are they expected to do, it becomes easier for each of these team members to achieve what they are expected to achieve, and it becomes easier from their part to achieve the goal that they have set out to achieve or the organization objectives. Now, the part of the effective self management with empowerment is that employees are made to be good decision makers, and they are also equipped in order to reach out for help or seeking out for help in terms of the need. Now, social awareness is basically the ability to take the perspective of and empathize with others, which also includes people from various diverse cultural backgrounds. The ability to understand the social and ethical norms of behavior and to recognize the family, school, and community resources and supports, which also includes the environment that you live in, the different cultures, the different communities, the different societal norms, the different problems, struggles, and all of the different areas that make up the social atmosphere in which we all live. Relationship management, on the other hand, refers to our ability to communicate clearly, to maintain good relationship with others, to be able to connect with those from different cultural backgrounds, to be able to work well in teams, and to manage conflict. Now, you need to be able to see the benefit of connecting with many different people, even those that you are not fond of, especially when we have good relationship management. Now, solid relationships that we share are something that should be cherished, and they are as a result of how well we are able to understand other people, how well we treat them, how well we are able to connect with them, how well we are able to share their history, and how well we are able to manage the different relationships that we share. So I have a very small activity for you all. In your emotional journal, you can jot down your natural communication style and think about all your interactions that have taken place with your family, friends, or colleagues. You can look into it. Is it direct, indirect, comfortable, serious, entertaining, chatty, curious, cool, or intrusive? Once you have paid attention to these details, You can jot down the upsides of your natural style in terms of looking into if these are the things people appreciated about how you interacted with them. Once you have jotted that down, you can write down the downsides, which means when were those times when these styles of communication created confusions or weird reactions or trouble in the relationships that you shared. Now, when your list is complete, you can choose the three upsides that you can use more in your communication. Next, think about the three downsides and different strategies that you can use to downplay or improve them. Be as honest as possible because this is going to help you enhance or have a better communication style. Before I end this video, I would like to end with a very simple quote which says that when your aim is to manage relationships, it's easy to fall into the trap of easing any tensions that arise at the expense of yourself. Just remember, managing a positive relationship requires benefits to be had by everyone involved, including yourself. Thank you very much for being such patient listeners.